Choose life. Choose a career. Choose never to alter game. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are discussing the top 10 best loadouts for Warzone. After all the updates and everything else that's gone by, we are now on the 2nd of Jan 2022. And what are the best loadouts to be rocking in Caldera these days? So let me take you through what I think are the best loadouts you guys should have loaded up as part of your loadouts. So without further ado, let's go and check out my Ghost class. So for my Ghost class, I have the Bren. The Bren is the undisputed best LMG or best medium to long range gun currently to be used in Caldera and Rebirth Island at present. So for my Ghost class, I rock the Bren as such, the Mercury silencer. This helps with that sound suppression, and that recoil control does affect our damage range. Some other people go for the MX silencer, which does help with that range and accuracy, but does affect your ADS. I like to have it a little bit more snappy, so for me, I go with the Mercury silencer. I then go with the Queen 705 roll barrel. This is highly accurate and controllable. Fantastic bullet velocity, reduced scope sway and gun bob. And the key thing about this is the damage does not diminish over range. So if you get 10 volley points at 10 meters, you get the same at 200 meters. So this is why this gun is OP. It does affect your sprint to fire, your ADS and your hip fire accuracy. We're not going to be hip fire accuracy. The ADS is only slightly diminished, and the sprint to fire, we won't be sprint to fire. That's why we have our SMG, or our close to medium range gun, which this is our medium to long range gun. We go with the 2.5 optic scope for that recoil control, that compact scope, the accuracy, and 2.5 magnification. My personal preference is definitely that scope. There are other ones out there, but this is my favorite. Then we've got the stock, which is the Queen's Model 11BH. This definitely helps with the recoil control immensely and is fantastic. It helps with the flinch resistance as well, so when people fire at you, we don't flinch as much, so we can get those shots off and get the kills. Then we have the underbarrel, the M1941 hand stop for that recoil control and accuracy. I used to be rocking the Carver foregrip for that recoil control, but found that the M1941 hand stop was actually a far better underbarrel to be rocking in terms of that recoil control to make this gun a super laser beam. Next up with the magazine, we go the 6.5 Sakura 40 round mag. This helps with that recoil control and accuracy, as well as that ADS and fire rate, which is what we want. It does affect our bullet velocity and range, bullet penetration and damage, but I believe that this gun is hardly affected by those. The cons. And then we have the ammunition, which we go with length and that increase of that bullet velocity. Rear grip, we have the polymer grip for that flinch resistance, the accuracy and recoil during sustained fire. Then we go with the perk 1, which is tight grip for the accuracy and recoil during sustained fire. This is making sure that this gun does beam for us with all of these attachments. Then we go with fully loaded as our secondary perk. Or you could probably go with something like Defender as well, which is your personal preference. You know, and then we rock with this for our Ghost class, the Diamante pistol. We run this with the Agency suppressor, the Task Force barrel, the Tiger Team spotlight, the Samurai 30 round mag, and the Serpent wrap. This gun is very easy to use, pings like a bullet, very good indeed. EOD, Ghost, and Amped, and for my tactical I have stim, and lethal I have frag. The frags are very OP powered, and the stim with the new change to it is fantastic for getting out of those tight corners as well as running and gunning into buildings with that burst of speed, where it does, as it says here, refreshes your tactical sprint. So it is fantastic if you have that auto tactical sprint on and your guns are geared for sprint to fire. So that's my Ghost class. Next up I have my High Alert class. This is pretty much the same. I do run Combat Scout, High Alert of course, and EOD. Stim and Frag, which is pretty much staple. The Bren, which is the same loadout as the one before, so I won't go over that again. And this time I run the AMP guns. This is because they are literally like a little SMG pistol. Very easy to use, high fire rate, and can down a player, and not bad at reloadings. For this we run the Agency Suppressor, the Task Force Barrel, the Ember Sight Tin Point, the Sauer 30 round mag, and the Serpent Wrap. And that rocks up my high alert class. Then we have the Restock. This is the one which is pretty much the same, exactly the same as the other class, which we covered on, which was high alert, but we just change out Restock, shove in proximity mine instead of the frag, because this is one of those loadouts where you can pretty much plaster a building up with proximity mines around. You've got the stim to help you out of damage. You've got the gun that here is going to kill some people left, right and centre. Pretty much fun, pretty much easy to use. Then we have our Sniper class. So if you're one of those sniper players out there, this is kind of the class that you're after. The KAR 98K is still definitely very, very viable, very good. Did have a nerf in terms of the flinch resistance, however that is easily captured by changing your perk down here to focus, which helps with that flinch resistance, which means you still get your shots off and get those head shots and down those players. For the optic we go with the variable zoom scope, the TAC laser as the staple ADS increase, aiming stability and aim walking stance, and the laser is visible to enemies, but pretty much you cannot see this at all because you're going to be using it for long distance. So that attachment has no cons at all. Then with the barrel, go with the Singuard Custom 27.6 to give us the best damage range, bullet velocity and recoil control that we can get. So this gun is clearly outpacing the competition in terms of distance that is firing. And then we go with the Monolithic Suppressor for that sound suppression and that increase in damage range. The ADS is effective aim walking stance, however that's counteracted by the TAC laser. So all in all, a fantastic gun to choose. The KR is awesome. The only other option that you would have is the, let me find it, my dear friends, is the, where is the rifle that I'm after? Where is it? If I could find it, I would. It's down here somewhere. Ah, there it is. The Swiss K31. So if you are not a fan of the KR98 and you wish to rock another sniper, then the Swiss is the one that you want. And for this you run the GRU Suppressor, the Combat Recon Barrel, the 5mm laser sight, the Bruiser Grip, and the Airborne Elastic Wrap. This gun does not move at all. Neck headshots are downs. Very, very good indeed. But for me personally, I like to stick with my KR98 Modern Warfare meta gun. So that's that. And for rocking with this, we run the Volks. I'm not going to say the rest of the word, but this is a very good close to medium range assault rifle built this way. Fantastically good. So for the muzzle, I have the recoil booster for that increase in fire rate. It does affect your accuracy, but this gun does beam. It's very, very easy to use. Does not have hardly any recoil or any jitter at all. Barrel wise, we go the Krosnik 428 MM05V. This helps with that highly accurate and controllable reduced scope, sway and gun bob and damage range. It does affect our sprint to fire and hip fire accuracy. So the sprint to fire is a bit of a bummer. I still have on here the Slate Reflector Scope, which I think is very clean and very nice to use. Stock wise, I go with the SA Converting for that sprint to fire speed and movement speed. That helps counteract the issue that we had with the barrel here, affecting our sprint to fire speed. Next up we go the 1941 hand stop, which helps with that recoil control and accuracy to help this gun beam even more. Then for the ammunition we have the 7.62 Gorenko 40 round mag. Helps with that recoil control and accuracy, movement speed, ADS and fire rate. Does affect our bullet velocity and range, bullet penetration and damage, but we are using this gun for close range to medium range engagements, so this barrel is definitely, or this ammo is definitely the best one to go. Ammunition wise, we run lengthen for that bullet velocity. Rear grip, we go fabric to help that ADS sprint to fire and hip fire accuracy. So as you can see, we're definitely gearing this gun up for run and gun, close to medium range, assault rifle built like an SMG. Perk wise we go with Fleet for that weapon swap quickness and movement speed, and then perk wise we have equipment dexterity. This is fantastic because that's why I don't need to run amped. I can run combat scout on this gun instead of having amped, so another bonus on this setup as well. Run frag grenade and heartbeat sensor, EOD as well, and you are pretty much good to go. Next we have in 6th place, which is my Rebirth. This is just the best only loadout to go for if you're playing Rebirth. It is ridiculous. It is fantastic. Slightly different than the MP40 and the Bren are pretty much the best loadouts there are. However, they're slightly different for Caldera and Rebirth Island. The main difference is the fact that for my Rebirth Island, I will be running ammo as incendiary instead of lengthened. That's because we know that Rebirth has a smaller engagement zones, and therefore incendiary does help. And if anyone does not have EOD as one of their perks, they are pretty much screwed. So for this I run the recoil booster. That helps with that fire rate, does affect the accuracy, but the accuracy on this is very, very good indeed, so I don't feel it affects it at all. Then the barrel we go with the Krosnik 317mm 045. Highly accurate and controllable, reduced scope, squate and gun bob. Does affect our sprint to fire speed and hip fire accuracy, so that is a bit of a con. But we help this out while having the smile pistol grip for that sprint to fire speed and hip fire accuracy, so that brings it back. Does affect our recoil, control and accuracy, but as I said before, this gun is a laser beam in terms of aim down sights, and even when you fire, the recoil is very easy to control, so by having those cons does not really affect it. Then with the ammo we go with the 7.65 Grenco rounds for that recoil, control and accuracy, the movement speed, the ADS and the fire rate. Does affect our damage, which is already good. And we got the incendiary, fabric grip we've already covered on. Krosnik stock is the Krosnik 33M Stolen for the help that sprint to fire speed and movement speed. Perk wise is brace for that initial fire and recoil. You might want to go with unmarked, so you do keep off the map, which is a good thing being as we do have the recoil booster added on here, and the perk 2 as sprint speed. Then we have our Bren, which is set up as following, which is basically the same as what we have for all of the other ones, like the High Alert, Restock and Ghost. So this is the same setup that I have there. And then perk wise, EOD, Overkill and Combat Scout, Throwing Knife and Stim, and this is pretty much the best Rebirth Island setup that you can go for. So now chaps, we are going down into the 5th place for the best Caldera guns. So I've got here the OTS-9 with the XM4. The OTS-9 is still very, very viable, very good, can compete against the MP40. Very easy to use, very quick, very mobile, still a lovely gun. The XM4 is still a fantastically easy to use gun, pretty much has no recoil, very good damage profile. So for the OTS-9, we are rocking the GRU suppressor, with which helps with sound suppression, vertical recoil, control, bullet velocity and effective damage range. Does affect our ADS, aim walking steadiness and aim instability. However, we then shove on the task force barrel to help us that effective damage range, that bullet velocity and that strafe speed, which we like. Does affect a vertical and horizontal recoil control, but we know that this gun does hardly have any vertical or horizontal recoil control, so that barrel is a plus in my mind. Then we go with the Tiger Team Spotlight with that movement speed and aim walking movement speed. Definitely helps. The flashlight is visible to opponents, however I'm not worried about it, and the aiming stability is slightly affected. I then rock the Bruiser Grip for that movement speed and height fire accuracy to help me move and engage and run around very quickly around the map. And then we drop on the 40 round fast mag. Fantastic setup, still very, very viable, still definitely top tier meta. Then we have the XLL XM4 from Black Ops. This gun is super easy to use. If you are new to the game and you just want to have fun, this setup is for you. Number 5 is easy, entry level, point, spray, destroy. For this we run the Agent Suppressor for that sound suppression, that vertical recoil control, the bullet velocity and effective damage rate. It does affect our ADS, aim walking steadiness and aiming stability, but definitely the best muzzle for you guys for using. Barrel wise, task force barrel for that bullet velocity, horizontal and vertical recontrol and effective damage range. This does affect our sprint and movement speed, that's why we have the SMG paired with this. It has ADS, hip fire accuracy and aim walking movement speed. Hipfire accuracy we're not worried about because that's why we use our SMG for. ADS we are already going to be, we're not going to be engaging quickly with players, we're going to be posting up and then going down, so we don't need it super quick. Field agent grip for that horizontal and vertical recoil control definitely helps out here to make this gun beam thrust. The 60 round mag and the actual 3x scope. This gun paired with the OTS is still super viable, top tier, and a very good choice for you entry level users out there that have Black Ops that don't have Vanguard. Rock this perk with EOD, Overkill and Amped, and then we shove on the heartbeat sensor and frag grenade and you guys are good to go. Then we have in 4th place, we have another pairing of Black Ops Cold War. This we have the Mac10. The Mac10 is the super easiest used to gun in the world. It's so easy. It's so easy. It has an insanely insane fire rate. It's very forgiving. It's very good. And the AK-47 is just slightly pips the XM4. Very easy to use. Like the recoil is slightly harder, but trust me, if you can control it, this is the setup for you. So you can move around the map super quick, and then for those medium to long range gamers, you can take down those players with ease and style. So for the Mac10, we run the agency suppressor, muzzle, sound suppression, vertical recoil control, bullet velocity, effective damage range. It does affect our ADS, aim walking steadiness, and aiming stability. But this is the muzzle you want. Task force barrel for the effective damage range, bullet velocity, and strafe speed. Does affect a vertical horizontal, but the Mac10 has none of that. It is the easiest SMG to control, full stop. Then the laser, we go with the targeting spotlight for the movement speed and aim walking movement speed. It does have the flashlight visible to enemies and aim stability, but definitely the best attachment to go. Under barrel bruise grip for that movement speed and high hip fire accuracy, and then the standard 53 round mag, and you are good to pummel players. Then we go the AK-47. This has the GRU suppressor. Basically for that sound suppression, the vertical recoil control, bullet velocity and effective damage range. Does affect our ADS, aim walking steadiness and aim stability, but I don't believe it's going to affect us that much for those cons. For the barrel we go with the 20-inch Spetsnaz RPK barrel. That gives us the bullet velocity, horizontal recoil control, effective damage range and vertical recoil control. Does affect our aim walking movement speed, hip fire accuracy, ADS and sprinter movement speed. But this definitely, the perks of this far outweigh the cons. Have to rock in the Axle 3x scope, Spetsnaz grip to help with that recoil control, and then the 45 round mag. Not as much as the XM4, but this does hit harder, so you don't need as many rounds. Pair this with EOD, Overkill and Amped, your frag and heartbeat sensor, and this is my best 4th loadout for rocking in Caldera. Now we're dropping into the Vanguard guns, and we're in 3rd place with the MP40 and the bar. The bar hits like a truck. It's slow fire rate, hard hitting. So we're going to start with that. With this we run the Mercury silencer, sound suppression, recoil control. It does slightly affect our damage range. Then we go with the CGC 30-inch XL barrel, which helps us with that recoil control and accuracy, reduced scope sway and gun bob, and flinch resistance. It does affect our ADS movement speed and sprint to fire speed, but I'm not worried about with this on the gun. Then under barrel we go the M1941 hand stop for that recoil control and accuracy. It does affect our hip fire accuracy, but we will never be doing assault rifles. For medium to long range, we are not worried about hip fire accuracy. So if any of the cons are hip fire accuracy, for medium to long range, we are not worried. It's fantastic for us. We just take the perks and we're not worried about the cons at all. Magazine wise, we've got the 0.50 BMG 40 round mag. This helps with that bullet velocity, range, damage, penetration, and the magazine ammo capacity. Recoil control accuracy is slightly down, movement speed, ADS and fire rate. However, this is pretty much the best thing to go with. Otherwise, you've only got 30 rounds or 20 rounds. You do need your 40 rounds on this gun. Then you shove on length on for that bullet velocity. Rear grip, polymer grip for that flinch resistant accuracy and recoil during sustained fire. And then perk, you go with Hoscope for that accuracy and recoil and sustained ADS. And then perk 2 is fully loaded. Your stock as Chariot WR, which is actually flinch resistant, recoil control and aim stability, and only affects your movement speed and ADS, which is why we rock an SMG to counteract that, and a 2.5 optic. This gun, hard hitting, slow fire rate, but if you can land your shots and you're accurate, it has hardly no recoil at all, very easy to use and will down players left, right and centre. The good thing about this is you can wall bang as well. So for this I run the snapshot as my tactical, because once I snap that and I run Combat Scout so I can get the wall bangs with my BAR, fantastic, great fun, very, very good, easy to use for myself, love it to bits. Then we run the MP40, the recoil booster, Krosnick 317mm 045 04B barrel, the Smile pistol grip, the 45 round mag, which is a 7.62 Grenko, lengthened, fabric grip, brace, quick, Krosnick 33M folding and slate reflector. That is my third class best setup. Now we're down into second class best setup. So for this we have the MP40, which is the same setup once again. You will see that the same. And this we run pretty much heartbeat sensor, fraggers are lethal, perks are EOD overkill and combat scout again, because I believe that the Vanguard guns for weapon switching are very quick indeed. So I'm not too worried about having amps. I'd rather have that combat scout. So for warning track, or the STGG, this gun, I rock the following: the Mercury silencer for that sound suppression recoil control. It does affect slightly your damage range, but I'm not worried. Your VDD 760mm 05B barrel, which is highly accurate and controllable, reduced scope square and gun bob damage range, sprint to fire is affected aim walking speed and hip fire accuracy, etc, etc, etc. Carver foregrip for that recoil control, hip fire accuracy. This time we run the 8mm Kurtz 60 round mat drums, definitely good, so we have more ammo in the barrel to take down those players. Lengthen for that bullet velocity, polymer grip for that flinch resistance, and that's accuracy and recoil during sustained fire. Vital, which helps us with that increased torso damage. On hand, which basically equipment dexterity, or you could rock fully loaded. Stock wise, we go with the VDD 27% for that high horizontal recoil control and ADS speed, help us out on that. And this I go with the 3.25 custom scope. This time I go with the higher zoom scope because this literally has no recoil at all. Super beam, super easy to use, pretty much like the Krig of the old days. So I love it, use it, abuse it, it's great fun. Then we run the MP40, which is the same thing as before, already discussed. And in top place, we have the undisputed king of medium to long range guns, the Bren. For this one, however, I run exactly the same, everything the same, except for the optic. The optic, I go the MK12 night vision. This is a 3x magnification, and oh my god, this, if someone is not running this lovely cold-blooded perk, they pop up on the map. And the thing is, most people are going to run EOD because they're worried about people running sentries or with damage potential of, like, you know, the frags, the semtex, etc. So not many people will be running cold-blooded. So when you run this scope on this gun, this optic, shall I say, everyone stands out super easy, especially when you got these glitches now with the Francis Awoken skin and all of the very good giddy suits that you get out there, where people can pretty much hide in foliage. This will help you out, trust me. It is an absolute beast. It's so freaking brilliant, it's amazing. You will see them, you will fry them, and they will be so beat, and it'll take 4 to 5 rounds and they will be downed. So then the MP40 we rock with this. I will go through this one with you because I didn't touch on it exactly with all the other ones. I just literally briefly viewed it over. Some muzzle recoil booster for that fire rate, increased fire rate. The Krosnick 317 for that highly accurate and controllable, reduced scope sway and gun bob. Does affect our sprint to fire and hip fire accuracy, but we help this out with the Mark 6 skeletal, which helps with the ADS speed on that. The 7.62 Grenko 45 round mag, the length from that bullet velocity, the fabric grip to help with that ADS, that sprint to fire and the hip fire accuracy, which basically counteracts the issues that we have with shoving on this barrel. The slate reflector, one could go for one of the iron scopes, which does help with the ADS. However, for me personally, I find I'm getting a lot more kills with the slate reflector. I find it a lot easier to use for those close to medium range engagements. Then I shove on the Krosnick 33M folding for that sprint to fire movement speed. Does affect your initial firing recoil, but I feel it doesn't really have any effect at all. Brace for initial fire recoil, which basically counteracts the one that we have here, and then fully loaded. The only other thing you might want to change it instead of fully loaded is shoving on hand. That's probably one of the other options to do, but pretty much, guys, that is my top 10 best loadouts for Caldera, Rebirth Island, in general. Full stop. Go out there, have fun, love me, like me, subscribe, just have some fun, and I shall see you guys in Rebirth Island and Caldera on Twitch and whatever, and see you on YouTube in the future. Over and out.